State for the win. They hand it off to Johnson. Boise State has won the top.
They take a downfield shot. And the catch is made. It's Ryan Williams. Still spinning free. Touchdown! The touchdown in the first possession. Back in the game. And he's loose again. Edwards off and running. Welcome back, Donovan Edwards.
He's going to the corner. He's got it.
This is the Gridiron Uncensored.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Gridiron Uncensored podcast. Hey, we're rolling along.
We're just marathoning this through, guys.
Yes, sir. Hey, we were filming a bunch, and then we're putting them out individually on our YouTube page so that each fan base can just have their own, place to go in and check out what we think about their teams. So we're going the group of five, playoff contenders. Contender series is what we're calling it. And we're rolling on. We got Liberty in this one, Trev.
Yeah.
And, looking at 2024, really a disappointing year, considering what they had in 23. In Salter coming back, in 24 or in 23, in 24, and it just kind of fell apart. It was just, I don't know, it wasn't there. Then you had the canceled game against App State, obviously the hurricane, and so you go out there, you finish, 8-4 overall, started off fine, and then you start taking losses. Kennesaw State, their first season in the FBS, and they take you down. Jacksonville State, another one, younger team when it comes to the FBS side, but still they're always a hard team to play. And then you go on, you win a couple good ones, you lose to Sam Houston, another new team, and then you go in and you lose to Buffalo, in the bowl game. So not a season that you really want to remember, I would say, as a Liberty fan, but there's pieces that you can build from it. And obviously we're talking about you, so that means we think that you are, capable of contending again. Trev, anything you saw from 2024, maybe move into the coaching side of it, any continuity there?
Actually, that's probably the one thing that I am most impressed with Liberty is that really their entire coaching staff. In fact, I think they upped their budget for coaching because it's ridiculous. Yeah. The change from 2024 to 2025. While the mainstay of main coaches are the same for most part, the amount of assistant cornerback position or the amount of assistant position coaches to the position coaches is ridiculous. Each position coach has their own assistant.
Oh, man.
It is ridiculous. I don't think I've seen this many coaches on a Power 4 team. Like, it is ridiculous. And then the support staff, my God.
Serious about it.
Liberty's putting in some money on the coaches. Good Lord, man.
They know,
but if you get with the changing of the times, I do get it. Trust me, I get it.
Yep.
If you want to be competitive, you kind of have to be able to spread the load out with recruiting, with the transfer portal, and everything else. And with these guys being labeled as coaches, they will be able to help with that load of recruiting and just doing the tape sessions and just making sure the team is absolutely, and maybe a good work-life balance for some of the coaches having these assistants, making them do the grind and work in the midnight burning the midnight oils, as they say.
Absolutely. And again, the money is the name of the game right now, but you can still do it without it. We've talked about other teams that
that's right.
That are coming up. They've got good foundations and all that stuff, but money helps, and Liberty is ready for this style.
And
of
they are, whether you guys want to know it or not, Liberty is a very wealthy school.
Yeah,
they have a strong alumni that donates to them religiously. No pun intended.
They are a very proud school. So they know that, hey, 2024 was unacceptable. We want to get back into the top race and get into the top of the conference.
Yeah.
So 2025, they reached in and they went through the portal a decent amount. 18 coming in, they ended up losing 29. But just because the numbers are offset like that doesn't always equal, an issue. Sometimes you're losing, you're cutting the fat, if you will. But looking at it, Joe Strickland's coming in, Michael Pollard, a couple quarterbacks here. You got the Gators coming in, a couple guys from the Gators, and then Casey Kane also looking solid for you at wide receiver. So those are a couple of the main guys that I saw, picked out, but there's also others that we'll mention when we get into offense and defense. Numbers wise, again, no over under that I can find. I don't know what the sports books are doing, or if I'm just stupid, I can't find it. I think it's more the first, but I've been accused. We'll be talking about some other numbers. Returning production. Liberty, you're in the upper 60s in returning production, one of the better ones in the nation. Team talent wise, again, this is from 2024. 24/7 doesn't update till like August, but you're currently 88th. I'm sure that'll fluctuate plus or minus, somewhere in that realm. And then the portal class was rated 99th in the country. So nothing like crazy, but you got pieces that I think will fit in just fine with the rest of the squad. Trev, you see anything on the portal side
well, yeah. I mean, I see a few things. One, I noticed that they did go defensive heavy as far as the primary focus. I would say the defensive heavy for sure. They did bring in 2 quarterbacks off the transfer portal, one out of North Carolina, Michael Merdinger. Merdinger. He's a Merdinger. He's a murdering. Never mind.
Digging the hole, baby.
He's a murdering her.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, sorry. That was horrible. That was horrible. If I had a sound effect for something like
I'll do it vocal. I do decent mouth noise.
Anyway,
I'm gonna stop talking
I'm just gonna keep going. How about we just move on to the next quarterback? They brought in Ethan Vasco out of Coastal Carolina, which is another good pickup. So I feel like that with those two on top of Ethan Hawke, who's their 6'4", 205. 3-star quarterback out of Maryland coming in as well. Between those three, I feel like they should have a fairly decent quarterback battle over the summer. I feel like both the prospect Ethan Hawke is projected as a Power 4 starter, so he has the intangibles to become very good. They said the one knock on him is that he's can be very predictable and robotic at times as a passer, which is not always a good thing. But that being said, he is athletic for his size, and that is also a good thing. So I think good things are in store for Liberty, not only with the transfers that they got coming in at quarterback, but also the quarterback recruits that they have coming in.
Yeah, and quarterback battles the main, really focus from the outside world looking into Liberty, after you lose Salter. But I feel like fans feel pretty happy that he's gone, just because the 2024 season was not what they expected from him. 2023 was awesome. And he was electric. There was so much, to go for him in 2024, but then it was like something just wasn't clicking, something with the team and him. He just it didn't want to be there. So
it definitely didn't feel the same feel as the year prior. That's for darn sure.
So I feel like they're happy. Like they're in a fine spot as fan base. They're like, okay, we got new faces in, guys want to be here. Let's see what we got. Do
you think that from the year 2023 that was his proving year, and then he was just kind of biding his time to see what kind of money deal he could have?
It's
or
possible.
do you think, because I mean 2023 is kind of when really the shit hit the fan with the money going out to these kids. 2023 or going into 2024, you start hearing about all these kids and the millions that they're making and all this stuff, all the money that's getting thrown around now legally, where you can't get in trouble by the NCAA for the most part.
Yeah.
I feel like that had a lot to go with, like he had his mind elsewhere other than focusing on football and just winning games.
And maybe, the money, I feel like it's been going around for a little bit now, but like you said, it was really out in the open, and like some of the big numbers you were seeing, and maybe he expected more. I have no idea. We're just speculating.
Yeah,
here,
it's all speculation.
From from 2023 to 4, and it's curious.
You don't see that kind of a downturn on a quarterback that had such a high production rate in 2023 just to kind of go not to honestly to mediocre is kind of it was a bummer because I was really thinking that Liberty was going to do something and they just didn't.
Yeah, and again, you look at the 2024 schedule from Liberty. You got first couple of games, they won, and then again you had the App State game canceled. You beat FIU. They're on a track to push forward, and then it just kind of fell apart there. But after he left, because obviously they don't care about him anymore, he's gone. You got Ryan Berger stepped in, but then he had a solid time, but he got a concussion late in the season. He's missed spring ball, but he's another one that could also start again. He can jump back in there. But they brought in quarterbacks to see, hey, we need to make sure we have a damn good starter, somebody that we feel confident in. Vasco seems like the guy to me. He's coming over from Coastal, 14 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 2,100 yards. You get a better situation, I think, at Liberty this year than what Coastal, has recently been, and I think this is a good setup for him. So if he is the guy, like you said, you're fighting against Merdinger and then Ryan Berger and then, the young guys you mentioned. There's a battle, and that's what you want to see. There's competition, and I think that position group's going to be all right.
Yeah, and let's see what that position group's going to have to battle this in 2025. Yeah, whoever ends up being the starter. What does his schedule? How do you think about this schedule lining up? I feel like it lines up fairly decently, all things considered, especially the non-conference schedule.
Yeah, I mean, you start off at Maine, so I mean that's a warm up there, and then Jacksonville State, again, a team you lost to last year. That's a tough second, but I feel like you're, at least you get that warm up, you get that quarterback, settled in at least after a week. Kind of rotate the O line if you have to, but you should be ready to rock and roll by that point. Mm-hmm. And then Bowling Green, they got new stuff going on. They lost their biggest weapon, to the draft. James Madison's a team we highlighted as a team that can contend this year. But then Old Dominion, UTEP. I think there's room here for this team to really push it. And from what I've been reading, others say it's one of the easiest in the country. I see a couple teams that could give them trouble, but for the most part, Missouri State's new, Delaware's
They've
new.
got a pretty, I would say,
winnable,
for lack of a better term, they have a pretty clear path to the Conference USA championship.
Yeah. They just can't stumble. As long as they don't have, the inner issues like they had last year, this team should be able to push for it like they did in 2023.
Yep. It is a rough ending to the season having Kennesaw State sitting there at the very last game of the season.
Yeah, especially they bring back a huge amount of their production from last year. They do. And obviously they beat you last season. Yep. So that's that's got to be weighing on the mind a little bit. But no, I think quarterback wise, they're going to be ready. When you look at the schedule, they've got options that should be just fine. The rest of the offensive, though, I think, the backfield is going to be different. You lost your main guys, but there's talent there. It's not like Liberty's not talented. They've recruited well. They've done well in the transfer portal. So there's guys like Julian Gray, Keaton Williams, Blue as well. The guys that can step up, and they just need to find the production. I think they will behind the offensive line to a point. We just want to see it come together. Trev, what do you think? Like weapons outside wise, wide receiver. I think they're looking.
I think
all right.
they look pretty solid for the most part. I mean, I don't know.
Earlier,
like where was it? I just had it up. Darn it. Hell.
So weapons out wide, I got Jacob Jenkins as well as a tight end for them that looks.
Yep.
Again, he had a really nice season last year. Is somebody that they can lean on. Casey Kane, somebody that you brought in who meshed well in the spring. He had a nice spring, so that's somebody that you're looking at again as, all right, we've got a weapon. Yep. We've got people that we can move this football as long as everybody's meshing up front, and that's to me the biggest point of this offense is the offensive line. Trev, what were you going to say though?
Yeah, no, the wide receiver room is actually pretty good. I mean, they've got Elijah Canyon, Casey Kane, which has already been kind of talked about a little bit about the transfer there. The expected starters as it stands right now, from what I've read, is Elijah Canyon, Tyson Mobley, or Dante Lee on the other side, and then in the slot, Reese Smith, with backups being Casey Kane, Jamari Pearson, and Eric Smith, all who this whole wide receiving crew I honestly think is really good. They've got decent speed, but a lot of these guys can match. Most of these wide receiving cores that we're talking about, especially when we just highlighted Memphis's wide receiving group a little bit, and then Liberty's, I think that they both have very strong wide receiving groups, and the pieces are interchangeable. And more than likely, it's going to be wide receiver by committee for the most part, unless there's one or two guys that set themselves apart from the rest of the crew. That's where I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, I think Liberty's going to be fine weapons. Out wide running backs, we mentioned them. Even Evan Dickens coming in from Georgia Tech, guys that have all played. They're at least recruited well, rated well, and guys that are looking to step in. They're hungry to play. Offensive line was, again, mentioned it. My concern on that side. 4 offensive linemen between the portal and graduation have all departed. All guys with starting experience or in the rotation anyway. But you do bring in guys that have played elsewhere. You've got 3 guys with experience and starts are still there. But it's the transfers that are going to have to plug in, and who do you fill in, that void? You got Badonsky coming in from UAB, Christian Williams coming in from Florida. I mentioned the Florida guys. That's one of them. How do they fill in that void, and how's the depth? And that's maybe my only big concern on this team. When you look at it, but I think the pieces are there for them to still move the ball just fine.
I think so too.
And then,
I'm really liking the returning on defensive line. Like they've got a nice, decent defensive line and linebacking core. I'm really liking how they look right now. You only can go off of like what the lineup looks like, the returning starters, the returning players. People that they're getting back off of injury that didn't get to play a full season last year, which is also a great thing. I really like this Liberty team. I just don't think that they have the moxie to be that team that comes out of the group of 5 with the playoff spot.
I worry.
I say that with a grain of salt because I have not seen what the quarterback situation is going to finalize into. Obviously, these are previews, so we are going to we'll analyze this till we're blue in the face, and then the kickoff will happen, and then it all goes to shit. But whatever. But yeah, I mean, on paper, as it stands right now, I think Liberty is a good, solid, the second or third best group of 5 team that I've reviewed up to this point.
Yeah, listen, again, this team has talent, and the thing where I'm excited for this group, like I said, my concern offensively is the O-line. Quarterback, I think they're going to be fine, all that stuff. O-line, that's got to mesh and find the right pairing. But defense, though, I look at, again, they have the returning starters all in the front, but then you bring in even more talent. Joe Strickland coming in from Purdue, Hester from Florida State. You got guys coming in. Farrar is a guy from App State that's coming over. And
Hester could be a flex guy. Like he doesn't have to play end. You could put him at an outside linebacker and let him just run.
Yeah, there's plenty of options on this team defensively. In Whaley coming in over from Hampton, he played 10 games as a freshman. I know it's FCS, but don't count that out, man. If there's guys can play ball, they're gonna find you, and that's what they did. Micah Pollard, we know him from Michigan.
Oh yeah, he's solid.
Him lose him, and then Spurlock again from Florida. You got guys all over the country coming in. I think this defense is probably going to be better this year than what you saw. In last year, they were 92nd in sacks. That's a number. You bring back all these guys. You bring in more talent to help. I think this team is going to plus that up, and they're going to push that envelope. defensively. So
100%. I think if the coaching staff gets creative with their blitz packages, I foresee that this defensive line, linebacking core, and secondary could do some real damage, especially with the schedule that you're working with right now. I think you're going to be hard pressed to find a better defense on their schedule than what Liberty's putting out there. I think Liberty's got the best defense on their schedule, and probably top 3 in Group of 5.
yeah,
Just spitballing, but I think it's, as far as returning talent and everything they got going on, it's up there as far as what the sky's the limit, whatever the case.
yeah.
They have a very high ceiling.
Yeah.
That's where I was going with that.
So when I look at this team, I look at the schedule. Again, offensive line is a concern. Defensive backfield, maybe a little bit. You got a couple of returning starters, but then you brought in some big body corners, out of the portal. How do they mesh? And really, that's the question with all these teams. How do these teams mesh? Because it looks good on paper, but how does it put on the field?
Right.
The only thing I would have concern from them on the schedule perspective is it's pretty weak. How does that get you into the playoff, in the top 25? Where does that, sit you? You pretty much have to go undefeated, I feel like, in this schedule. You could maybe afford one loss early, but I don't think so.
I think this goes back to what I was saying, is I just don't think that they're a playoff team, only because the schedule is weak enough where if they drop a game, that hurts their chances.
Yeah. Unless they just look so damn dominant, maybe they're after that. I don't know, but from the outside looking in, that's how it looks to us. That's
just the way it looks. Is like, unfortunately, I think Liberty's going to have a great season. You probably will walk out being Conference USA champs. However, no, you won't. Well, maybe you might.
I don't know. It's going to be.
It's really tough. Conference USA is kind of like Mountain West, where it is it's very tough to determine on who's going to come out on top.
Guys are going to beat each other up, and
very much so.
You cannot go unscathed though in this if you're Liberty.
No.
That's just a fact.
Yeah.
Let us know what you guys think, because again, we're talking from the outside looking in, what we see. You guys let us know as Liberty fans what you think, how you feel about it. Do you think you can afford a loss? Because we obviously don't feel that way. But again, let us know. Comments on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. Twitter, of course. That's where you'll see me the most. But yeah, Trev, let's close it out. We appreciate you guys listening and excited for the season for Liberty. Just little curiosities about the team. But I think
just a few more months left, guys. Just a few more months, and we're at August 30th and kicking off, or August 29th, I guess.
Yeah, it's
we'll
coming
be kicking
up
it off.
It's coming up quick.
That's right.
So, again, go check out our other previews, and, we'll see you guys around. Thank you for your time.
That's right. Take care.
Good night.